Good morning, Arundel class, and welcome to the last week of the half term and to what is going to this week for our English be our poetry week. And it's a really nice way to go over some skills that we've learnt before in poetry and at the same time round off all the learning that we've been doing around fair trade. So if I can share with you the slide to show you the poems that we're going to be looking at this week. So we're going to be looking at two poems. One of them we'll be looking at in our guided reading, and the second one we'll be looking at to inspire our writing. Now, the first one that we'll be looking at for our guided reading is called Breaking the Chains of Supply. Now, don't worry if you can't read it off the screen there very easily. You will be getting PDFs of these on Google Classroom for you to access. But I just wanted to, introducing this, to just talk you through how this poem works, because it's quite a clever one. So you will see there's two sides of the poem, a left and the right, and a final verse that's shared between the two, because it's actually two poems that then merge together at the end. So you've got one poem going down on the left-hand side, and then you've got a second poem, which starts quite similar, but then changes as it goes along, going down on the right-hand side, and then to finish both poems, they share the same final verse. So when we're looking at the poems and you're answering the questions on Google Classroom this week, you need to be aware that they are two poems. One side, I'll give you a little clue, is about non-fair trade, and the other side is thinking more about fair trade. So that's part of the exercise that we're going to be looking at, working out which side is which. So that's for our guided reading. For our poetry writing this week, we're going to be using this lovely poem called Water Walk by a green poet, environmental activist called Martin Kisco, who's a UK poet. And he wrote this poem in support of water aid to help raise money for water projects in poorer countries, developing countries. So when you look at this poem, there is a lovely video link on that, which goes to the Water Aid video, which shows you a lovely video to illustrate the water walk, and the poem is read over that. So that's a really nice way to look at it. And also you will have the a written copy, which you can see probably looking at the screen is kind of done as a shape poem, and we'll explore more about that later in the week as well. Okay, so they're the two poems that our learning will be focused on this week. If we look at the second page of the slide, just a reminder of some of the things that we've talked about before in poetry and that we're going to need to revisit this week. So just be prepared that some of these things we'll be coming back to, that we'll be revising them, and that we'll be aiming to include some of these poetry features in our writing as the week goes on. Don't worry if you can't remember what they're called now. We will go back over those during the week. But at the end of the week, hopefully we'll get some of those features into our poetry writing, and I really look forward to seeing the poems that you create this week. Bye-bye.